Okay, Bruchim Habayim. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the first, and I hope it will be the first, and not last, Q&A in our community. We want to thank everyone for helping, sponsoring, coming, joining. It's very cold outside, and you made it, so Chazaku Baruch. And I want to thank also those that send the questions. If we have time, we can answer. We can have a few questions from the Kahal when we finish. But we got a lot of interesting questions. Some really apply to our shul and some general questions. We're not going to get in the depths of every question, but we will try to address as much as we can with basic sources for the question. So let's start with the first question. First question, I'm not going to mention who asked this question unless if he's here and he gives me permission. Okay. First question is, does one need to say everything he's doing? Does he need to say bli neder without promising? As we know, many times in our conversations, we say multiple times, Be'ezat Hashem, bli neder, with Hashem's help, without promising, So it's something very, very common. Is it obligatory? Is one need to do it? Or is just a good thing? Or it's maybe even superstitious. Maybe it's something that is not recommended and it's maybe too much. I mean, if you open the book, even a holy book on the Sefer Torah, you don't see that every page it says on the top, with Hashem's help, and then another page, with Hashem's help, right? Like you just read the Torah spontaneously, and we know it's with Hashem's help. That's the Torah of Hashem. Or any printed books, also you don't see the Be'ezat Hashem, B'tzad Yishma, B'tzad Yishma. So is it something that it's necessary, needed, or we can skip it since we all know that whatever you're doing, it's with Hashem's help, of course. So it's the answer is it's divided into two parts. The first part is if it's a mitzvah, if it's a person accepting upon himself to do a mitzvah, then you should say bli neder. Why? Because if you are accepting upon yourself to do a mitzvah, a positive commandment, or to do something good, okay, so you have to say bli neder. Because if you just say it without saying bli neder, then eventually don't do it for any reason, then it's a problem because it's kind of accepting upon something very important, but something very good, and it's for Hashem. But if you're just having a random conversation with your friend, or let's say, I'll give you an example. You tell your mother, I'm going to go and make and do something. Okay, you don't have to say bli neder. But if you're telling your mother, I'm doing it, I'm doing shopping for you, that's already a mitzvah. You're respecting your mother. So then you have to say bli neder. Okay? But if you're just going and saying something without any mitzvah involved, then it's not obligatory. You don't have to say bli neder. Now, there's a very interesting question about Siyum Masechet. When one finishes the Masechet, we say Hadran Halach. There's few passages that we say at the end of the celebration where we end the Masechet. And Hadran Halach means that there's two explanations. Hadran Halach means that we're going to review it, or the beauty elevated me. So that's a different pirush. So according to the second pirush, you don't have to say bli neder. But if you just say Hadran Halach, if you explain that Hadran Halach means that I will review it, so how can you say it without a promise? I'm not going to promise I'm going to do it, but I will try to do it. And nobody says bli neder. People are doing it for hundreds of years. They say the same thing again and again, Hadran Halach, when we end the Masechet, and nobody says bli neder. So there's few answers for that. And one of the answers is because they are saying it publicly, and it's not really referring to him, it's referring to the kahal, the people. So if one of them will finish the Masechet, that's good. It doesn't have to be him. But one of the people in the kahal that will Messiah it, then you could do it. Perhaps you should not say bli neder, because if you say bli neder, you're mocking the past rabbis that nobody said it. We always like to come up with new things, but at the same time, we have to be careful not to make fun of the rabbis that didn't say it, or to say, hey, they didn't say they are wrong, and I'm right. I mean, how can you say they are wrong and I'm right if we did it for 1,000 years, right? More than 1,000 years. So that's more or less in a nutshell the answer for this question. So again, if it's a mitzvah, you have to say bli neder. If it's not a mitzvah, you don't have to say a bli neder. It's an interesting question since we're getting close to Pesach. Right, so it's an interesting question. If a lady thought that she is not allowed to eat kitniot on Pesach, rice on Pesach, right? If that, and then she discovered that it's wrong. She's not Ashkenaziyah, she's Sfardiya. She thought that she, by mistake, that she needs to be strict because she grew up in places where they are strict. Their custom is not to refrain from eating rice, kitniot, legumes, and so on. And she came to Etz Chaim and she discovered for the people that Sfaradim have a different custom. Ah, wonderful! I'm a Sfaradiya, so I can eat rice, right? And does she need to make Atarat Nedarim, mean to nullify the vows, as we say before Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah? The answer is she doesn't need to say it. Why? Because since she thought that it's obligatory, it was a mistake. If she was strict upon us, if she said, I know it's permissible, I'm doing it because I want to be extra careful, and then she said, it's too difficult. After a few years, she said, you know what, it's too difficult for me. Then, okay, in that case, she needs to nullify the vows. Atar Nadarim, by 3 people, come to shul, before Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. But if she thought initially that was obligatory, and then she found out that there was a mistake, she doesn't need to make Atar Nadarim, she doesn't need to nullify the vows. Okay, let's continue with the second question. The second question is about Limud Kabbalah. When is the right age to learn Kabbalah? Kabbalah is basically the hidden part of the Torah. It's not like a mystical thing. It's a different path, different way of learning Torah, a different level, in fact, of Torah. It's a lot of things involved. What's the age? So ideally, we learn that the proper age to start from once to start Kabbalah. And I know the Rabbi Sus used to give classes every Thursday, Kabbalah. And when I was in Kollel once a week, we also learned Kabbalah. But ideally, the age is to start 40. But if a person feels that he wants to start, and it's from the Shach, Siftei Kohen, he says, only Maleki Rasul b'Shas Poskim. Only when a person is really familiar with the Shas, with Poskim, he finished the first level, then you can go up to the second level. You cannot start the second floor before building the first floor, or even building the foundation of the first of this building. So the idea is to start, to get ready for that, and then after you're married, of course, some even say if you're not married, but most poskim hold that only if you get married and you're 40 years old, then it's the right time to start learning Kabbalah. Now, what about the concept of Kabbalah? I mean, if you say that only when you start, only when you're the age of 40, you can start learning get to this level. So if you open different books, you will find different concepts in Kabbalah. Of course, the concepts are no problem. The problem what the rabbis are talking about is when you want to start to spend hours of classes and chavuta, learning in depth, that you should start only at the age of 40. But the concepts themselves, it's mentioned all over the poskim, Ben Ish Chai, Kaf HaChaim, everyone is mentioning it. So that's about the second question. And if somebody anyone here wants to look more details, you can look at the book of Rav Ovadia, Yechaveh Da'at, value 4, and it's Siman Mem Zayin over there. Okay, let's continue with the third question. And by the way, if you have any questions about those things, please ask. So number 3, this is a question that really is connected to our shul. And the question is, are we allowed to park in the parking lot outside? Okay, this is we're jumping from Orach Chaim to Choshen Mishpat now. And I got this over the last 4 or 5 years. I got this question, and now last week, so many times. Are we allowed to park in the parking lot since it doesn't belong to us? Right? That's a question, and I'm sure you're very curious to hear the answer. So the answer, if we look in the Shulchan Aruch, we learn there's a concept of zenena v'zelo chaser. What does it mean, zenena v'zelo chaser? If a person has, let's say, our example, has a parking lot, and nobody is parking there, and it doesn't disturb him. So I'm allowed to park there if he didn't tell me that it bothers him, or he doesn't want you to park there. Okay? Now, I spoke with the people over there before we came to it, and I learned that it really bothers them when there's many people. In the mornings, early in the morning, we start shachrit here early in the morning at 6:30, it doesn't really bother them. But when there's many people, let's say there's a celebration, Purim, I don't know, right? So then it really bothers them. So the answer is, at times where we know that it doesn't bother them, we can park there. But times where it's like a Sundays, I guess, or 8 in the morning. Mincha Arvit depends when we pray Mincha Arvit. I guess 5 today, 5:20. So it's 1 car, 2 cars. If you see it's getting too crowded, don't park there. That's what we learn from the Shulchan Aruch. Any questions about this? Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of parking around here. You can walk a little bit, which is
Yeah. So David is recommending us to walk a bit, so we can get something. We can make some exercise. We can do some exercise before we start praying, before services. Very important. Getting ready for tefillah. Also to contemplate about the idea of tefillah. Okay, David. Chazak Baruch. Yeah.
So today we have pretty much filled up the parking lot. So technically on a day like today, we probably shouldn't avoid it.
I don't think we are too much a crowd here, so but maybe.
This way there aren't a lot of parking. I came a little late.
Right.
And there weren't a lot, actually thought about that question.
Yeah.
When there were enough spots, but if one is there, at this moment there weren't so many.
Right. The thing is, since it belongs, yeah.
It's a legal holiday, I think many of
Right. It's holiday today, so not many people. But it's very difficult to tell. I mean, sometimes you can see that it's empty, nobody's there, so you can just park there. And the second thing, if they really didn't want us to park, they could put a, how do you call it, the barrier or something, a sign. Yeah, they didn't even bother putting a sign. It shows that they respect the congregation. They want us to feel comfortable, your neighbors, but at times where it's too crowded, that will bother them. I remember that in Slichot, many in the morning we had a lot of cars, so it bothers them. So in that case, ideally we should park in different places, not in the parking lot. By the way, do we have any plans for our own parking lot in the future, maybe?
When we build a new building, a new synagogue,
Yeah.
we'll put a parking garage right next to it.
What?
One parking lot. I don't know. Maybe we should think about something.
Yeah, when we build the new synagogue, we'll make sure there's a parking garage next to it that we can park our cars.
When we're gonna build, I mean, it's built already. I got.
New synagogue.
I got.
The one with the bigger.
Well, we can 2 floors. With the first floor, give me the parking lot up, and we can bring another floor. Okay, Shlomo's on the board, so we'll think about something. Okay, let's continue with the 4th question. This question also I got a lot, and that's to download information from the internet, when many times people are like explicitly saying, "I don't want you to use it. I want you to go to the store and buy it." There's sometimes many books, very interesting books. No, I'm not talking about Hebrew books. I'm talking about because they have special websites. You're allowed to use the books. I'm talking about very rare books that they want you to go to the store and buy it. But you check it on the Google, and there's PDF. They PDF the thing. They put it on the PDF, and you can find it on the website, or you can find it on Google. If you type on Google, you can find it. Not just holy books, but any other information, right? Sometimes even newspapers. They say if you want to read a bit more. I don't know if you have it here in America, but in Israel, they just give you the headline of the article, and then it's okay. You want to read more? Be a member and pay something. Yeah. Okay. So and there's a way to people that know how to use the computers. There's a way to skip all this and get to the entire article and just read it. So is it mutar or asur? And this question is a very relevant question. Also songs. Many times they want you to go to the store and buy the disc, buy the DVD. And you can go to Google and just download it from Google and just enjoy the music. Now you're saying you're ruining my livelihood. My living is those songs. So the answer is it's considered Zuto Shel Yam. What is Zuto Shel Yam? Zuto Shel Yam in the Gemara B'Metzia says that if a person is living in a certain place and it's very windy like today, and he has this let's say he has all these beams and things of the sukkah, and then he lives next to the river, and what happens is the wind blew off all those materials and he cannot find it anymore. So that's Zuto Shel Yam. It's like it's scattered all over. He cannot find it. It's in the river. So he really gives up. But it's not just he gives up. Everyone gives up. It's something that everyone will. There's not much you can do about it. Okay. So the same thing here. Once it's on the Google, once you type on Google, you get it. Finish. it's mutar. You're allowed to use it. It's considered zuto shel yam. Okay. I know that some rabbis will say it's forbidden, and will find reasons because they want to protect those people. But halachically speaking, you can give him tzedakah. If you want to help this person, give him charity. You say, look, I heard this wonderful song. I want to help you, but you don't really have to buy it since it's on Google, and you can just listen to it, enjoy it, and it's like something that we know for sure that you give up on it because it's accessible, approachable for everyone. Everyone can use it. Yeah.
So we know that sometimes it's the case where you have somebody like a company or whatever who's selling something online, like music or whatever, and when they see it posted online, they'll try to, they'll maybe bring a lawsuit or like they'll cease and desist order. They'll bring a lawyer and they'll say to the website owner, listen, you can't do that. You need to take it down. They do that, but of course, there's so many of them, it's basically impossible, like you're saying.
Right.
But the fact is that sometimes they'll be trying, right? They'll be trying to do that. So I have two questions. Number one, if you know that the company's trying to do it, actively trying to bring, cases to take it down, does that change whether it's permitted or not? And secondly, what if you're one of those people, aside from the fact that, like, I don't know, obviously don't be sued, but like, apart from that, what if you're one of the people who's actually posted on your own website, right? And even though they're not coming after you, you know that maybe they could in the future, and they've done that with other people. Is it permitted to then put it on the web, or is that a problem?
So the first question is, once it's available on the website, even if they have the threatening people to the lawsuit and so on, it's on the website. It's there. It's available. You can use it. Zuto shel yam. And the second question is that it's about.
Is it basically, are you allowed to then post it?
Oh, so you are not allowed to do it, of course, because yeah. But once it's there, others are allowed to use it. But you are the one that caused damage. But the damage is already there. You're causing damage, so you are not allowed to do it. You're the first one to put it on the.
You're not the first one. Like, there's a lot of people who have, and you're just another one who has. You already saw a bunch of people put it on the web. You put it on the web too.
For others, because it's already there it's already there. So put it for others. So that's inappropriate, but halachically it's okay. Because again, if they want to find it, if they want to find it, they can find it. It was them. They don't have to. If you know how to search, and I guess not many people, all of us, most of us know how to search in Google. You can get it from another source. Your source perhaps is helping him, saving him 5 minutes, right? So you make it a bit more approachable. So that's still zuto shel yam. So that's still okay. Again, it's low inappropriate, but you can do it. Yeah. How about?
Even if it's got a legal copyright?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Even if it's inside of a book that says express.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can write whatever you want. No, it doesn't matter. Once it's there, we know that he gives up. He can write whatever he wants to write, but it's zuto shel yam, meaning even if he's screaming, yelling, hey, don't do it. Okay, maybe be a nice person. If you want to be a nice person, you can give him some money to show appreciation. But halachically speaking, we talk about halacha, you're allowed to use it. Dina de Malchuta are against you using it, listening into it. They cannot do anything about it. What can they do? The one that did it, they can go after him. Yeah, but I'm just listening to it. So it's not. I mean, what can they do? It's accessible. They're coming after me. Go after half of the United States. What can you do about it? I mean, what can you do? Okay, let's. Okay, so here's another question that I got yesterday about ma'asrot b'chutz la'aretz. We know that in Eretz Israel, we have to be very concerned about ma'asrot. We cannot just eat fruits and vegetables without checking if ma'asrot, how do you say ma'asrot in English? Tithes were taken from the fruits. So, but the question is, are we concerned here in chutz la'aretz? So of course we're not. But the question is, what happens if the fruits are coming from Eretz Israel to here? Let's say it says on the box, you go to a Super Fresh, you go to a Stop and Shop, and you're looking for fruits from Eretz Israel. Why? You want to support Eretz Israel. And on it says Eretz Israel with a picture of this guy with a hat. Yeah, okay. So you know it's coming from Eretz Israel. Tasty oranges, and you wanna. So do you have to give ma'asrot? You know it's coming from Eretz Israel. So Ashkenazim that follow Moshe Feinstein are strict here, and they say that you should make sure to take Maasrot before eating the fruits, okay? But the Ravadia says that he brings many, many doubts about it along Tshuva, and he says that even in Chutz La'aretz, even if it's coming from Eretz Yisrael, even if it's Gmar Malacha, if it was completed, the miruach, as the learns of the words of the Mishnah, even if it was completed in Eretz Yisrael, and they're sending it to Chutz La'aretz, even if they designate those fruits to be eaten in Chutz La'aretz, in overboard, in America, for instance, we don't have to be concerned about Trumot HaMarasot in Chutz La'aretz, in Kurtis Faradim, the follow Ravadia. Again, Moshe Feinstein here is a bit, it's a different halacha, but the Ravadia, it says it's mutar, we don't have to be concerned about Trumot HaMarasot. Another thing, Orla. What is Orla? We're not allowed to eat fruits from a tree, from the tree. If it's the first 3 years of the tree, we're not allowed to eat. It's kadosh. You're not allowed to have any pleasure from the tree. So Chutz La'aretz here, since it's safek, it's a doubt. We don't know if it's from the first 3 years of the tree or not. In Chutz La'aretz, if it's safek, if it's a doubt, if you know 100% it's orla, it's a problem. But if you know you don't know, and for the most part, we don't know. You go to the local market store, you buy fruits, vegetables, so you don't know. So if you don't know, you're allowed to eat those fruits. Therefore, the conclusion is, here in Chutz La'aretz, we have a privilege not to be concerned about Trumot HaMarasot and no Orla, nothing. You can go any place you want, super fresh, whatever you want, vegetables, fruits, everything you want, and you can buy it, and not vegetables and fruits, you can buy everything you want, and you don't have to be concerned about Trumot HaMarasot, as opposed to Eretz Yisrael, where there things are a bit more complicated.
Supposing this grapefruit that I'm eating
Yeah,
is from Eretz Yisrael,
yeah,
and I am in a Sephardi shul,
yeah,
and it's being served to me,
yeah.
and I'm Ashkenaz.
Hmm.
And am I allowed to eat it if it's acceptable to you, but how do I know?
So the answer is you are allowed to follow Sfaradim. No, it's because Ashkenazim that follow Moshe Feinstein. It's not because that's their tradition. Because usually Ashkenazim will follow Moshe Feinstein. If a Sfardi want to follow Moshe Feinstein or Ashkenazi want to follow Ravadia, that's no problem about it. The only problem was customs, old customs, where Ashkenazi is obligated to follow his custom and tradition. Sfardi needs to follow his tradition. Here, it's nothing about tradition. Here, it's a pure argument about what's the halacha. So that's why I said Ashkenazim that usually follow Moshe Feinstein. If you want to follow Ravadia, wonderful. I will encourage you to follow Ravadia.
Is it like Dina de Malchut or Dina?
No.
Here I'm sitting in.
No, nothing Dina de Melchuta.
I don't
No,
have to ask, I
no.
just eat.
No. I wish we could. Etzachem could be Dina de Melchuta, but we're not so far. No, you can eat, no problem. You can even if there was a problem. Yeah.
Is it a problem because switching one thing I follow him, one thing I follow him?
No. The Gemara says, "Aomer Mikulei Bet Shammai Mechumei Bet Hillel." You will follow the leniencies of this rabbi and the other leniencies of the other rabbi. It's the Gemara says terrible things about this person. You're not allowed to follow the leniencies of this one, the leniencies of that one. You need to be consistent with one rabbi and follow him. Okay? Because if you're going to follow all the leniencies of the world, you know what's going to happen. Okay? You follow all the leniencies of the world. Just imagine. You could do whatever you want. Because every field there's an argument in any field. So you should be consistent with one rabbi. Yeah.
I still wasn't clear about the difference between this and where we make a difference in Rosh Hashanah. You said in this example.
Yeah. So I will elaborate on it a bit more. So we know there is an argument between Rabbi Yosef Karo, that he was Faradi from Tzfat, and Rabbi Moshe Isserlish, that he's Ashkenazi. Okay? They based their ruling, they based the halachot on the customs that they saw in their country, Ashkenaz, for instance. And Rabbi Yosef Karo based his laws on what the Maimonides said. The Rambam lived in Spain, in Morocco. Okay? So there's a tradition for many, many years, in fact, thousands of years. Okay? Now you want to come on and want to break this tradition, you cannot do that. So whenever there's a tradition for Ashkenazim and a tradition for Sfaradim, they have to follow the tradition. Anything else that is not part of the system, like arguments about Muktzeh, for instance, if there's no argument between Shulchan Aruch and the Rama, arguments about the example of Tumot U'Maasot, there's no argument here between the Shulchan Aruch and the Rama. Okay, there's no argument here. It's just an argument between two rabbis in our generation, the way they learn the halacha. Okay, so that's nothing to do with Ashkenazi Sephardi. You can follow him, you can follow that. It's nothing to do with Ashkenazi and Sephardi. Okay, the tradition. I had a similar response in the book about, we know the differences with opening bottles on Shabbat. Some are careful, some are not careful. Arabada says you can open, Ashkenazim says you cannot open. So let's say Ashkenazi forgot to open the bottles on Shabbat. Now he wants to go to his Sephardi neighbor. Sometimes it's a bit embarrassing. What, I'm a goy of Shabbat, you want me to open the bottles for you? Okay, but are you allowed to do it or not? So in that case, someone will argue and say you cannot do it. Why? Because it's not based on a tradition. It's based on the way you understand the system. That's the way that you follow this rabbi. You think that everyone should follow this rabbi. Okay? So you cannot go to your neighbor, Sephardi neighbor, and tell him, please open the bottle for me on Shabbat. Why? Because you also think that he's doing something wrong. If he was opening the bottles because he follows Shulchan Aruch, okay, but it's not mentioned in Shulchan Aruch. It's something new, so that's why that's why some hold that you cannot do it. Okay, let's continue with another question here. Is another question we have is about is it obligatory or do we have to make aliyah or not? Right? We know many people are encouraging others. There's organization, Nefesh B'Nefesh, encouraging everyone, make aliyah. It's very, very important. Of course, we also think it's very important, but the question is it something that you have to do or it's a good thing, right? So, in a nutshell, we'll say that it's free opinions. We're not going to get into those free opinions, but the conclusion of all those free opinions is it depends, right? As any answer, it depends. But here it really depends if you're going to have a good living in Eretz Yisrael or not. You cannot just go to Eretz Yisrael and say, Hashem will help me. Hashem will not help you if you're not going to help yourself. Okay? If you just think you can go to Eretz Yisrael and somehow make a living over there, then you're not allowed to make aliyah. Okay? What about your children? And sometimes if you're living in a very good community, a warm community where you have everything you need, then and you go to Eretz Yisrael and you're not sure what's going to happen in Eretz Yisrael, then you cannot make aliyah. That's what many hold. Okay? Sdei Chemed, Bet Halevi, many others. But if you know that you have a proper job, you're going to have a proper job in Eretz Yisrael, there's small things that you don't know because you're moving. Naturally, there's many things that are missing the picture. But you know that you're going to a place where you're going to have a livelihood, you have a place for children, a proper education, then why not do it? So it's not chiyuv. It's not obligatory to make aliyah. If it was chiyuv, if you will have to go, then you cannot calculate all those things. But since Rav Moshe Fashel says it's not obligatory, but it's a good thing. It's kiyumit, lo chiyuvit. That's his words. Kiyumit, it's a good thing. It's a mitzvah if you do it. You don't have to. Once you live in Chutz, you don't have to do it. Then you don't have to do it. But of course, that's the best thing to do. If you can do it, why not? It's a great thing, great mitzvah. But you have to think about many, many other things before you do it. And the statistics show that many Americans that go to young couples that go to Eretz Israel, after a year or two they go back. Why? It's too difficult. I remember when I got married, I saw the couples, and it was not easy. Yeah, like for me here, Baruch Hashem, I have this wonderful warm community that helps me. But every stranger that goes to a different country, it's not easy for him. Right? Different language, different culture. The language is okay. The culture is a problem, right? Sometimes you don't understand. Yeah, it's a broken phone. How do you say broken phone? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay. So sometimes it's not easy. So we have to calculate all of the things before we make this huge, big step. Okay, that's answering this question. Any questions about this one? Yeah. How about?
Like the rabbis that disagree, is it are the rabbis in Eretz Yisrael saying that people shouldn't make aliyah? Are the opinions divided about where the rabbis are located?
I'll tell you something funny here. There's some rabbis that hold you're not allowed to make aliyah. We don't follow that. That's the Satmarov. And there's some say that you have to make aliyah. And we follow the middle path. It's good to make aliyah. You don't have to. Okay.
Money to them anyway.
What?
So you should give money to them anyway.
Money is also important to anyone. Yeah. Okay. Let's another one. This is another Choshen Mishpat question that somebody asked. Somebody did a favor to his neighbor, and it was snowing, right? For the last few weeks, we had like nearly every other day it was snowing, and somebody did a favor to his friend, and he cleaned shoveled the path for him, but he didn't do it really properly. And what happened is there was some snow there, and after a day or two, it became black ice, and this guy was walking there, and he fell and he hurt himself. Now he's complaining. He wants to sue the other one that helped him. Can he sue him or not? Oh, the answer is no. Okay. So the answer, to make it very short, the answer is of course no. But the reason why no, because it says in Bava Metzia, Kichre ishbo, velo shor, lo shorbo, meaning that only when you are creating a pit, damage from the very beginning, and this damage, and you're doing it for the sake of damage, and he got hurt by this damage, like his knife, like his stone, all the examples of Bava Metzia, then he's chayav. But if you didn't create this nezik, you didn't do it you want to help him, right? You don't want to cause him any harm. Opposite, you want to help him, and it happened. Then it's not your fault. And poor guy, of course, but it's not your fault. He's anus, kind of anus, because he tried to help, but he didn't do it properly. Okay. Let's get to the last one, and this one I was asked also to talk about Ta'anit Esther this year, but I think something a bit more important than that is Purim, that falls on Friday. What do? This year, Purim falls on Friday. Okay, so there's two options we have. Only two options. The first option is to start the meal very early in the morning. Okay, and that's recommended by many poskim. But what I'm going to do, and I think it's the right thing to do, is to start the meal 2 hours before sunset. To start the meal 2 times, so you give a break to your wife, so you can combine the Purim Seudah with the Friday night Seudah. Okay, how can you do that? So basically, we pray Mincha early at 1 o'clock. We're going to have Betzachim at 1 o'clock, and then we start the Purim meal 2 hours before sunset, or sometimes even 1 hour before sunset. We start the meal, and 10 minutes before sunset, we ask our wives, okay, now it's time, 20 minutes before sunset, we ask our wives, please light the candles. They light the candles, and we have to stop eating. And what do? We take a white tablecloth, we cover the table, and you say, okay, now we're going to make kiddush. Okay? And so then, once you say that, you cannot eat anymore. You're not allowed to eat. So at that point, we start saying mizmurim of Kabbalat Shabbat. We accept Shabbat upon ourselves. And then we can, and then what we do is we can make kiddush, but we don't say a gefen. That's the interesting here. Since you already said the gefen from the very beginning, we hope you said the gefen. You're drinking wine. It's Purim, right? So you already said a gefen before. You don't say a gefen. You just say kiddush, right? Kiddush without borei be a gefen. Vayechulu hashamayim, asher kedishanu, okay? Asher b'chamanu, and so you say vayechulu and the passage of kiddush, and then you can drink the wine without borei be a gefen. And you don't have to wash your hands, because you won't wash your hands before. You don't have to say amotzi because you said amotzi before. If you said amotzi over bread, okay. But you should make sure to eat kazait after when it's after 3 stars appear, after tzedek kochavim. It is kazait of bread. And then what about arvit? So you can pray arvit after you after you ate bread, after you make this kiddush, or you can pray arvit after you finish your meal. So that sounds very very. It's not really rare, this thing, but we have to it happens once in a while, and I think it's the best thing to do on this year on Purim, not to do 2 meals, because if you're going to start the meal on Purim, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to eat peeled, so you're going to think about, I have to keep some place for Shabbat. But if you're combining those 2 meals together, that's I think it's the best solution for this year. Okay. So we're going to have Arvit and Shul, but I'm going to have Arvit at home. I mean, if you want to join us, you can join us. We'll make sure that we have minyan here, minyan there. Unless everyone wants to do the same thing, so then we can all pray at the same place. We'll see. Finally, we're getting to the last question, and then whoever has questions here is more than welcome to ask. About Ta'anit Esther. So Ta'anit Esther, the halacha is very simple, is that if a nursing mother or pregnant lady or don't have to fast on this fasting day. Tani Tester. A person that doesn't feel well, is sick, also doesn't need to fast on that day. Otherwise, everyone needs to fast. Old people, people that find it difficult to fast, they don't have to fast on Tani Tester. And that's more or less the halachot that we need to know specifically Tani Tester. Those that are not fasting, then you should not get aliyah. But we count them as a minyan, but they don't get aliyah because they're not fasting on Tani Tester. Okay, but one should try his best to fast on that day, unless he's, as we mentioned, unless he's sick. Now, nursing a mother, even if she's not feeding the baby, let's say she stopped feeding the baby after 10 months, she still has 24 months that she's exempt from fasting, because we give her 2 years after she gives birth. Okay, and now any question you may have, please, Chavod. Yeah. Chavod, yeah. Go ahead.
What is the issue of bugs? Is that halakha or is that tradition?
Bugs?
Bugs in the food.
No, that's halakha. Yeah, we're not allowed to eat bugs. That's very clear halakha in the Shulchan Aruch, and therefore we should be very careful with when we clean the letters, we clean the strawberries especially. We have to cut the top, and we have to soak it in water with soap, and we have to brush it. There's a lot of bugs there, so we have to be very, very careful with it. Yeah. Bugs, it's written in the Torah. Okay, Parashat Shmini, that we're not allowed to eat it.
So as a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Based on what she was saying, if Nashnas is here, how would we know what things are, we shouldn't be doing because it is halakha, or is the one where the Sfardim do one way and we're not supposed to do it?
Right. First, there's a local rabbi that you can ask, and the second thing, if you don't know, I mean, most things that like the way you pray, I can give you examples like the way you pray, or of course you should try to follow your tradition, unless you accept a different one, or your family accepts a different one, or it's a Pesach, for instance. Kitniot, like the rice that I mentioned, it's something that you cannot change. You cannot eat rice because you're Ashkenazi. Even if you join the Sephardi community, you cannot change your custom. More and more rabbis are trying to change it, but it's not easy. It's not easy since it's established and it's many years, and it's written in the Ramah and the Shulchan Aruch, the Ashkenazi side. So that's why Ashkenazi should still be careful with it. Yeah, Chavod.
You just said about, like is Ashkenazi that comes to the daven, like should he do Nisach Ashkenaz, or Nisach, like does it matter just for should they actually board, does it matter just for anyone on their own, like what Nisach they should follow while they do?
Good. So that's a good question. In the past, there was a great rabbi called Rabbi Adler. He was Khatam Sofer's rabbi, and Adler doesn't sound Sephardi, right? Ashkenazi. And he changed his minhag because he investigated, he learned, and he discovered that the proper pronunciation and the proper way of praying is Sephardi tefillot. So he changed his custom. His rabbi his name is Rabbi Eliyahu Tal. He changed his minhag, and he decided to follow Sephardim. And from that, Haravadia learns that any Ashkenazi that wants to change his minhag, of course, he has this very strong base to rely on. That's Rabbi Adler. Another source that we have is the Arizal. Usually, Arizal, people like to say he belongs to us, With Arizal, it's different. Everyone says, no, he belongs to you. And what's the argument here? He was half Ashkenazi, half Sephardi. I'm also half-half. The question is, which half-half? Ashkenazim say that his father was Sephardi, and that's why he prayed with Sephardim. Sephardim say, no, he's Ashkenazi, and despite the fact that he was Ashkenazi, he prayed with Sephardim. Okay? So that's the argument. Khatam Sofer says, no, what do you want? He was Sephardi, Arizal. And that's why he prayed with Sephardim. And we say, no, he was Ashkenazi, and he decided, and he learned that the proper pronunciation, the proper tefillah is Sephardi, and that's why he's praying with Sephardi. So that's an interesting argument you have here. Pardon? if a person doesn't really decide to change his minhag, he should stick to what he is used to. Because when you try to pray different nosach, it really confuses you. If you're just doing it momentarily, like temporarily, so don't you try to stick to your minhag. But if you decide altogether to change your minhag, then that's okay. You have a very strong base to rely on.
And the question actually regarding that, if you do decide to change your minhag, like, oh yeah, I'm more used to praying this Fadi.
Yeah.
But now the question is, does that also extend to other things? Like, for example, things you do by yourself, like all the time. Like, for example, you put a shachar, Bichar Amazon. So if you change, for the tefillot that I do during the day, I do it,
Everything, yeah.
So you're saying, what I was saying is that basically if you change your minhag, you have to change it for everything, like for all the tefillot.
Yeah, because you have to be consistent with it. Yeah, everything. Yeah. Another important thing I want to mention here, that if a person grew up in a place where his parents didn't have any tradition, Chozrim B'Tshuva or those that joined Am Yisrael, they converted, okay, they didn't have any tradition. They are allowed to do whatever they want. Okay? Agitosh Torah Timecha, it's when your parents had a very strong tradition. They were Ashkenazim. Okay, so you have to respect them. It says, don't forsake your parents' tradition. But if they didn't have a tradition, then you can do whatever you want. That's another thing that we should learn.
So another question actually regarding the issue of minhag. So
Yeah.
if you're going, for example, like I was thinking of Birkat Hamazon in particular,
Yeah.
you go to somebody's home, they only have a Birkat Hamazon of one, they only have the Ashkenazi or they only have the Sfardi, and you don't remember it by heart, so the question is in that case, okay, all you have in front of you is one, and say it's not your minhag, right? What do you do then? I'll just try to remember, or,
That's a good question. So you have only two options, or not to say Birkat Hamazon, or to say it by the Ashkenazi Nusach. Okay, so say it, in that case, Ashkenazi Nusach, yeah. Because the main bracha is to thank Hashem. At least the Oraita all agree that you fulfill the obligation of the Oraita. You say you're thanking Hashem. The way you're thanking Hashem, it's not your tradition. But okay, that's the only thing available. That's the only thing you have. But usually I think most houses have both. No? Okay, you're surprising me. I didn't.
But every time we go to Ashkenazi house, I bring a Sephardi bencher.
I have one.
Okay, you have one. Okay. So Shlomo, if you're stuck, you can go to. Any more questions before we end here? Yeah.
Just between, whether it's Sephardi or Ashkenazi, someone who's staying by someone else's house, so it's temporary, you're not like where you're going for a meal or something. So many times there's like differences, even amongst Sephardim or amongst Ashkenazim in things. So like at what point do we say something is already rooted tradition, and then that we should be careful of, or what is something minor? Like
That's our question. Yeah. She asked us.
temporarily, like you're going to stay by someone's house or something, you're just like eating by their food, or like I don't know,
So here we're getting into a completely different halacha. And if we have just a few more minutes, we can elaborate on it. Yeah, what time is it? We're getting late? Oh, okay, I think we're getting late here. Okay, just in 1 minute here.
It's okay with us.
It's okay. I want to, okay. Are you presenting it? Okay, so if somebody's invited, okay? If somebody's invited, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, no matter who it is, you should always respect the host. Whatever he's doing, you should respect if it's not against halacha. I'll give you one example. We as Sfaradim, we are very careful with meat, right? We have to go, unfortunately, we don't have here meat that we can buy. We go to Lakewood and buy Bet Yosef, right? For a different class, we'll learn the differences. But we have a specific meat that we have to eat. Now, you invited to Ashkenazi, and you're not sure about this meat. Eat it. No problem. Don't cause any problems. Just join him and eat it. Don't make a big fuss out of it. Eat it. Another thing is you have sweet bread. Sfaradim don't say hamotzi over sweet bread. Ashkenazim say, but the only thing he has is sweet bread, right? I have a different opinion about sweet bread. But Ravada says hamotzi. Ravada says you should say mezonot. Now you invited, respect him. Okay, respect him. It happened to me. My grandfather is Ashkenazi. I came with how you call it, the water bread, you call it? Water challah, okay? And he didn't like it. He said, oh, do you think we are fake? I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to eat your bread. Okay, so we have different halachot. Why is that? Because we have the concept of kol asher lomar lecha bal habayit aseh chutz mitzvah. Whatever the bal habayit, whatever the host is telling you to do, except if he tells you to leave, don't leave. But that's just a joke. But it's in other words, respect him. Unless he's telling you to turn on the light on Shabbat, of course. You can't do that. But if all those traditions and customs, you just follow your host and decrease the machloket between. Of course, he's inviting you, so you kind of subordinate to his minhag. So you have to follow him.
So like for example, if he says, "Oh, make kiddush," and then you would do the kiddush, whatever kiddush he gives you, whatever book he gives you, you do.
Just read it. Yeah, just read it and respect him. Yeah. Kitniot, no. Kitniot is different because for Ashkenazim it's very strict thing here. So if Sfardi is inviting Ashkenazi to eat kitniot, that's already nogel halacha. That's halacha. It's not tradition. It's not the pronunciation. It's not leniency. Okay, we cannot rely on many things. If he's using the pot, you can use the food from the pot, but not the actual legumes and rice you cannot eat. Yeah.
No, I was saying that you just would eat other things.
Yeah, other things. Yeah. Look, I'm Sfaradian and I didn't eat when I was young. We didn't eat kitniot for the very simple reason because my mother didn't cook. She's Ashkenazi and she said in my house no kitniot and Pesach, so we didn't eat anything. But outside, I will go to my neighbors and we'll eat something rice and legumes and so on.
One more question actually about that. What about Halel? So like even if you change your minhag, you say, okay, I'm an Ashkenazi, but then I do this Spagdi Tefillah. But what about the bracha before Halel, Chasi Halel on Pesach, like during Chol Moed? Because there, isn't that a difference of halacha? Like, if you're an Ashkenazi, even though you adopted Spagdi Tefillah, do you also not say the bracha for Halel on Pesach, or do you,
So you don't say. If you accept the minhag and the tefillot, you don't say bracha.
say, okay.
Yeah. There's a different question. What happens if Sfardi is an Ashkenazi shul? Is he allowed to answer amen or not? Rabbi says he's not allowed to answer amen. Rabbi Eliyahu says you're allowed to answer amen. It's a machloket here. But if you accept altogether the customs, of course you can. Yeah. We done? Oh, well, please come on, more questions. No, not just about Ashkenazi Sfardim. That's yeah. Chalak.
Actually, for an Ashkenazi in the shul, like, is there anything halachic that, like I wouldn't be Yosei by, or like
No. If you accept upon yourself the minhagim, the tradition, you can. Everything is okay. Yeah.
like if I stay with my Ashkenazi, like minhagim, like
So.
part of the tefillah?
Yeah, so Arav Meshafashtin, and it's accepted, and also I have a tshuva on it, to respond on it, is don't say things out loud when you're in a Sephardi shul, when you're saying it in Ashkenazi way. But quietly, of course, no problem, yeah.
I heard there's a question by Kaddish because of the number of
So this is something you say out loud. So don't say your nusach, say the nusach of the place. Yeah, that's another example of something that you should say, accept the nusach that they say in the Mishul. So Parashat Zachor, all the pronunciations are accepted. Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Parashat Zachor, since it's a biblical obligation, the Oraita, so we try to be careful, but you don't have to. We accept the pronunciation. We hold that it's okay. Okay, and the sources they learn it from Chalitza, a big sugya that when a lady is saying what she has to say, different halakha, then any language, any way we understand it, it's okay. So we learn it from that for many other things. Chavod.
For Pesach,
Yeah.
if you want to use something glass that is for the year, can you bring it into Pesach without doing anything?
For Sfaradim?
Yes.
For Sfaradim, we hold that glass doesn't absorb, doesn't.
Right.
So you can use glass that you use for the entire year. You can use it also on Pesach. You don't have to change. Yeah.
Don't change anything.
You don't have to change. Glass, you don't have to change.
You have to put it in
You don't
water?
have to
No.
tackle it or anything, right?
Cold water, you can clean it and finish.
Oh,
Is it
For
possible,
Ashkenaz Sfaradim.
if you would normally toivel something, but can you use something that you haven't yet toiveled? A metal,
Yeah. If you didn't yet tovel, no, you have to tovel it. But you can't use it if you didn't
you
tovel
can't
it.
use it
Until
until you've
you tovel it, yeah. Unless if it's electricity, like a kettle or something. Something. Okay. Yeah.
The question actually about being electricity.
Yeah.
You have some of those pitchers, like Brita, the pitchers that they're like they're pitchers you put the water in, it filters the water, so it's nice, it's more pleasant.
Yeah.
So
What's in the picture?
water.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like nothing's in the pitcher. You put
Okay.
the water in the top, and then it filters it, so it just tastes better.
Yeah.
So I read somewhere that it's okay to use those on Shabbat. It's not an issue. That's what I read earlier because I get the reason. But what I'm curious about though is that a lot of them have an electric component. They don't use electricity to filter the water. right? The water is filtered mechanically. It's not filtered electricity. It's just filtered. Yeah, you put it through the filter, it's filtered, right? But they usually have an electronic sensor that tells you whether the filter needs to be changed, right? So when you put the water through the pitcher, then there will be a little electric light, LED light that turns on, right, just briefly. The question is,
Is it for sure that it will turn out, or you don't know?
it's for sure that it'll turn on.
Ah,
And
okay.
It doesn't really do anything. It just turns on to tell you what the filter is. So what I'm asking is that a problem on Shabbat when the fact the light turns on?
Okay, so that's called psik reshet lo nichra, meaning that you have no attention, you don't want it to turn it on,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
okay, and you don't care, okay?
Yeah.
So it's you're causing it to happen. It's like by pouring the water, you're causing it to happen. So you have no intention of doing it. So halachically, it's okay, because you have no intention of doing it, and it's also the Rabbanan. So it's called psik reshet lo nichra b'Rabbanan. You don't want it to happen. You don't want it to turn it on, and it will happen automatically. But ideally, we should not do it. It's better not to do it because Arabadia says that only places where you really need to do it. Here, you have to use it, or you can use something else for Shabbat.
I mean, it's easier on the stomach. If it's easier on the stomach, if we drink filtered water. So that's
Right. So it's in.
what? Yeah, it depends on how much water you need.
Or you can't turn it off before Shabbat, for instance.
What was that?
You can't turn it off before Shabbat.
I don't think there's a way to turn off.
And 100% it will happen when you put the water inside. It turns on. Okay.
What happens when you cover it with duct tape?
With what?
You cover it with duct tape, can't see it.
No, it doesn't matter. It turns on. It turns on.
Why
Yeah.
not be turning on?
Yeah.
No?
So it's better to get a picture for Shabbat. It's better
Yeah.
to get a picture that doesn't have to.
רבי מומלץ לא להסתכל בפורים בשבת?
Okay.
Difficult though, right?
Okay, so we have more questions, or we can say Rabbi Hananiah. I think it's a wonderful thing that we have, any questions you have, we can do it next time, B'ezrat Hashem. It's great, we can have a nice discussion. Okay, good. Rabbi Hananiah ben הקשה אומר, הצג שבחו לזכות ישראל לפיכך